Before Hades ever saw the world, his father swallowed him. He was a king's firstborn son, and his first kingdom was darkness. The old texts do not begin him in glory. They give him a swallowed birth, a war, a lot, and a kingdom beneath all roads. Greetings, gods. You're in Catheoria now, and this shadow belongs to Hades. The old record follows him through 4 stations: a stomach, a war, a lot, and a house beneath the earth. Forget the easy version. This is not another defense of Hades. The old stories are colder than defense. They do not begin with a villain being thrown into darkness. They begin with a child swallowed before he ever saw the world, and a brother who, years later, drew the dark by chance. Follow those stories in order, and a strange pattern appears, and by the end of it, the dark he drew will not look like a punishment anymore. It will look like a kingdom. Cronus, king of the Titans, had heard a prophecy. One of his own children would take his throne. So he swallowed them. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, then his firstborn son Hades, then Poseidon, one by one, whole. The moment each of them was born, a king devouring his own succession, child by child, so that the future could never arrive. Of the swallowed children, Hades is named and then withheld. The poem gives him no childhood scene, no first step, no first word, no scene of a boy becoming a god. It names him among the swallowed, then turns to the child who escaped. Rhea hides her youngest, a stone, wrapped in swaddling clothes, takes the infant's place in Cronus's mouth. The real child Zeus grows in secret on Crete. Plans form, allies gather, and through every one of those years, the eldest son is where he has been since the hour of his birth inside. Then Zeus returns. Cronus is deceived and made to give back what he swallowed the stone first. Then the children alive, grown, gods. The story gives Hades no daylight until he returns as a grown god. No boyhood behind him, no scene of the world before him, only brothers he had never stood beside, and a father now made enemy. Free. But free to step into what? The answer was already gathering above him, a war. What waited outside his father was not peace. It was the Titan War, a war that shook heaven, sea, earth, and Tartarus. 10 years, gods on one side, titans on the other, and the world itself as the battlefield. Mountains torn loose and thrown, the sea boiling where they fell, the sky shaking down to its roots. Hesiod says the crash of that war rang all the way to the pit of Tartarus. There was no world to live in yet. There was only the fight over who would own it. And Hades enters the record not as a child of the world, but as a fighter in the war for it. To win it, the brothers went down to the Cyclopes, one-eyed giants imprisoned in the dark, in gratitude for their freedom. The Cyclopes forged 3 gifts. To Zeus, the thunderbolt, a weapon the sky itself would remember. To Poseidon, the trident, a weapon that could split the sea open. And to Hades, the helmet of invisibility. 2 brothers received power the world could witness. The firstborn received the power to vanish. The later mythographers preserve the gift, not the glory. The weapons are named with them. The gods overcome the Titans, but Hades remains the least visible of the victors. The Titans were chained below, in Tartarus, in a dark, deeper than any they had made. And three brothers stood over a one universe that none of them owned yet. The war had ended, but the part of his life everyone thinks they know had not even begun. Not exile, not punishment, a draw. The Iliad does not record a banishment. Poseidon himself names the manner when the war was won. The three brothers shook lots. Hold that image for a moment before the lots fell. The world still waited to be divided. The sky, the sea, and the dark beneath the earth were unclaimed, and everything eternal was about to pass through the hands of chance. They drew. Zeus drew the wide sky, the bright roof over every living thing. Poseidon drew the grey sea restless, visible, full of ships and storms. And Hades drew the mist and the dark beneath the earth. No sunlit fields, no sailors' songs, only the country beneath every other country. To mortal eyes, it looked like the worst inheritance in existence. But notice what the story does not contain. No trial, no sentence, no god casting another god down. No one had to banish him. Chance was enough. The account Poseidon gives records the draw. It gives no protest. He went down, not as a prisoner, but as a ruler, and the country he drew is not written as chaos. It has a palace, a border, a gate, a law for crossing it, and at that gate, a dog. Hesiod describes the dog with strange precision. Cerberus wags his tail for everyone who walks in. He devours anyone who tries to walk out. 50 heads in Hesiod's early telling, 3 in the later image, but always the same warning. Entering is easy, leaving is not. At Hades' gate, that is the rule. For most of his mythic life, Hades does not come up, one of the rare times he rises. The upper world breaks. Persephone, daughter of the harvest goddess Demeter, was gathering flowers when the ground opened before her. Hades took her below. Zeus had known and had not warned her mother. Demeter's grief starved the earth. The fields died, and kept dying, until Zeus was forced to bargain. The seed she tasted bound the terms. The terms split the year. For one part, Persephone remains below. For the rest, she returns to her mother and the world grows again. And then after the famine, the bargain, and the seed, the record, returns him to the same place. Below, which leaves the one question the draw never answered. The dark he drew what? Exactly. Was it? The poems do not call it the greatest share, but the roads of mortals measure it differently. The sky was Zeus's kingdom, but the ordinary road of mortals does not end in the sky. The sea was Poseidon's, but mortals only cross the sea. Hades drew the one kingdom every mortal eventually approaches. In Greek myth, Hades is not death itself. The Greeks gave death its own name. Thanatos. Hades is the ruler of the place where the dead go. Every king and every slave, every hero the songs remember, and every mortal the songs never named. Every sailor the sea spared, and every soldier the sky watched fall. From every road, in every age, all of them walking, some slowly, some suddenly toward the same gate, where a dog wags its tail as they enter. The sky dazzles, the sea moves, his kingdom accumulates. What looked like the darkest share became the only share that never stops filling. After that, the old accounts grow sparse. What they preserve is a pattern. The other gods keep entering the world above. Zeus descend. Poseidon rises. Apollo walks through armies. Athena stands at soldiers' shoulders. Hades almost never leaves the country he drew. One of Homer's rare glimpses of Hades above his realm is not glorious. It is painful. An arrow from Heracles finds him at Pylos, and the Lord of the Dead climbs to Olympus in pain. To be healed among the brothers who drew sky and sea. The wound closes. He goes back down. The dead keep arriving at his gate. Do not mistake any of this for a soft portrait. The Iliad does not soften him. It calls him unyielding, implacable, hated by mortals more than any other god. That is the portrait the poem leaves. So set the record side by side. Swallowed by Cronus, armed in the Titan war, given the dark by lot. The poems do not give him a speech of refusal. They do not give him a revolt against the share he drew. They give him a house beneath the earth, a gate, a dog, the divided year of Persephone, and the unending arrival of the dead. The gods who drew the sky and the sea keep crossing their borders. The god who drew the dark remains below. The first kingdom he knew was darkness. The last kingdom mortals know is his. And every road in mortal life still bends, at last, toward his gate. If this is the kind of myth you want more of, subscribe to Catheoria. The next shadow is already waiting.